Hello and welcome back to another match from the Summer Cup 2024 in Shogun 2 1 vs 1 Avatar Vanilla. This is the first live match that I'm casting. So we are here in the deployment phase in a match between a Spice Merchant, from whose perspective we are watching this, who is playing against Trebor. So this is the lower bracket match round 5, which is a best of 3. 1 second, I had to tap out. And this map, Crossroads, was picked by Spice Merchant. So we have a farm on the left, a very important sword dojo in the center, and an archery dojo on the right side. Going over the army while they are still deploying. So on the very right, we have a Matchlock Warrior Monk extended range with the Yari-Ash going for the archery dojo. However, this terrain is not very easy for a Matchlock Warrior Monk. Then he has 3 more Matchlocks, so 4 in total. Matchlock Sam extended range, a Matchlock Sam extended range, and a Matchlock Ashigaru extended range. Lots of extended range units here. Not something I agree with given the difficult terrain. But then he covers them as is traditional with some Yari-Ash. Most of them appear to be rank 2. And then he has a flanking force of 2 Yari-Sams, rank 2 and rank 4 on the left. And 2 more Yari-Sams, rank 2 and rank 4 on the right as well. His main melee core is pretty weak here. I only count 3 Nodachi, 2 on level 2, 1 on level 1. And his Cav contingent is pretty weak as well. So there's only 3 light Cav and his leadership gem, but there might be some more heavy Cav hidden. But yeah, this just shows that a lot of money has been invested into these 4 extended range matchlocks. So it will be interesting to see how he plans to utilize them. And should also be worth mentioning that Spice Merchant does not like to play with attendants. So he's always playing with Yari-Ash to cover the matchlocks that he likes to play a lot with. So he usually has 3 or 4 in his build. And of course, if you always go for the Yari-Ash, given that they cost a little more than the attendants, you have to spend a little bit more money on matchlock protection, which could come at a disadvantage. However, there are some retainers that can boost Yari-Ash, which is something that you can't really do or you shouldn't do for attendants. So with that in mind, it's not a terrible decision to go for Yari-Ash protection. But yeah, looks like they're taking their time deploying. Spice Merchant looks to be ready. And I think it should start any second now. Yeah, there we go. So for Trebor, let's see if he sticks to his guns and plays with the same army composition as usual. I think he does. So once again, sorry, I'm still a bit sick. He once again has a Fire Cav rank 5 with a Light Cav. His genre is mixed between leadership and bow. Then he has a Waco Raider this time. Going for the archery dojo, usually has a Yari-Sam on the flank, so this is new for him. Waco Raider rank 2. Then he has Light Cav and a Yari Cav for protection. We might see an early Cav battle here, which is not something that Spice Merchant should take. So he retreats, which is a good decision. And he goes for the Light Cav versus Light Cav. And then in the center, 1, 2, 3 matchlock. Ash for Trebor, 200 ranged IQ, 4 swords, 3 of them Banzai lone swords, 1 rank 6 lone sword, and some Yari-Ash as well. And this is pretty messy. So Spice Merchant shooting his own general. This is a very risky maneuver. but of course also killing Trebor's Yari Cav. And here his Light Cav actually got into the Waco Raiders, doing lots of damage. With the follow-up of these Yari Sums, he might actually kill the Wacos. So this has been going pretty well here, I think, for Spice Merchant. But of course, this is an expensive part of his army on the right, which is now missing in the center, where the engagement has also started. We see Nodachi against Lone Swords getting a downhill charge, which is pretty nice. Here we see Yari Ash wavering against Lone Swords. I think they are in Spear Wall, but in a weird formation. At least they're stabilizing now. And here, Lone Swords against Yari Sam. This is going to go very well for Trebor. I think it's probably a wise decision to retreat this to this other Yari Sam. And Trebor's Fire Cav is catching Spice Merchant's General, which should die, I think. I don't think he's going to survive this. At the same time, two Nodachis who didn't use Banzai getting routed by Lone Swords in the center. Again, positionally, this turns out to be a huge mistake from Spice Merchant. He has a very expensive Meshach Warrior Monk on the right, not being part of the battle anymore. They got 42 kills on Cav, which was very good in the early game, but he just didn't have neither the morale nor the fighting power in the center to withstand the assault from these four highly vetted sword units by Trebor. And he only now moves his matchlocks with his Yari Ash. But this is an unwinnable endgame. Waco Raiders for Trebor finally being dealt with by Yari Sam. And now Trebor might actually even get the Sword Dojo. Still has 48 men Fire Cav, and I assume still has his bows. Yeah, 90 men bows. Only 70 kills, so they will have lots of ammunition left. And this game is basically over. If this was a regular replay cast, I would just go triple speed now towards the end, but it looks like Spice Merchant wants to give a final stand here next to the Archery Dojo. I mean, Spice Merchant, the moment he decided to send this Meshach Warrior Monk to the right, should have just retreated his center into the forest line, giving him a bit more protection, luring all these swords from Trebor into his own spear wall, thus giving himself more time to reconnect with his right flank. And yeah, I think that's something he could have done, but even so, even sending this unit to the right is not completely logical, because there's only an archery dojo here, which is not too useful for him, especially given that there's also a sword dojo, which Trebor got in return. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see on the end results screen, but spending so much money on extended range matchlocks, 4 of them, on a map that is terrible for matchlocks, is a questionable decision, I would say. Now, Trebor also taking his time, which he doesn't need to do. He can just go in and completely mop up the rest of Spice Merchant with his Fire Cav still on the field. But these Daikyu are going to do considerable damage against these Matchlock Warrior Monks who popped their extended range. But yeah, terrible line of sight, as in most places on this map. It's also interesting that Trebor keeps playing with a mix between leadership and Bogen. In my experience, this is not a good investment. It always sounds better in theory having bow enabled, especially for the late game, but this bow is really, really weak. So I'd much rather put some more points into the melee stats to boost the resilience of the avatar, which is especially important when you are in stand and fight and you want your general to survive for longer. So I tried this too a couple years ago with bow enabled, but would not recommend. You rarely get like lots of kills with it. I mean, he probably has been in range of enemy units most of the battle in the beginning, only on 4 kills. So hopefully we're going to see the last stand now. But Spice is trying to play for time for some reason. Might be trying to get warm for game 2 or something, I don't know. This is pretty much a waste of time. I mean, and there's no reason for Trebor to wait, really. You can just go down here and then focus everything that's in this line of sight. And he is shielded from these troops by this little ridge line. And he is shielded from the left flank from Spice by this ridge line. So he can just go all in this direction. But still, I think he wants to get the most out of his Daikyus. And these Yarisams are going to get killed by swords. Trebor still has a Naginata attendant that he forgot about at the farmhouse. Didn't even have the correct attack order. That an attack order on the Daikyu, where like 4 or 5 units are blocking the assault. Yeah, they're both going through routes. And the Fire Cav killed something, and no Dachi. But it's interesting how Crossroads gets picked so often in this tournament by players who play with lots of matchlocks. I don't know why. I mean, this is a map that you can play really well with lots of Cav and a very mobile build. Just dodging the skirmishers and wreaking havoc around the flanks. Matchlock Warrior Monks finally died to the Daikyu, which is on 170 kills now. And finally, the army of Spices. Going to rout and shatter. Yeah. So quite a decisive match. Won by basically multiple factors. Wrong army from Spice Merchant, wrong positioning, and he didn't pop Banzai on his in the center on his Nodachi, which wouldn't have made a huge difference, but they could have bought him like 30 seconds more time. Yeah, these Daikyu only got lots of kills in the end, but by the time they racked up their kills, the game was already over. The Fire Cav was much more important here, killing the general, and the Lone Swords killing off the Nodachi. And for Spice Merchant, yeah, really none of the units have a good amount of kills. He has one Matchlock Cash that performed well, but other than that, Everything seems to be below 100. Even 2 spear units with 0 kills. Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious what the second map will be, which will then be picked by Trebor. But yeah, so far Trebor leads the best of 3 with 1-0. And I'll just make a quick break, and I'll hop in when game 2 starts. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Hello and welcome back to game 2. This time from Trebor's perspective, we are still live, it would seem. Yep. And this map, Chikugo River, was picked by Trebor. And this is actually for once a map where I would even recommend taking a Daikyu Samurai. Usually I'm not a fan of that unit or of 200 range bows in general, but here it can work pretty well. And we have a workshop and an archery dojo on the isle. Especially this archery dojo could be quite important here for these skirmish heavy builds. But what makes this more interesting now is that the very important sword dojo is on the other island. Makes for a much more interesting battle than if this was a farmhouse or something. And yeah, this is very tightly congested, hard to spot, but I suspect that Trebor plays with a similar army that he usually plays with. So with 3 matchlocks, I would assume yes. None of them extended range though. Then a couple Yari Ashigaru, long Yari as well, on rank 7. Interesting. Then he has Lone Sword with Banzai, 1, 2... only 2. And then in the center he has 2 weaker ones. One is on level 2 and one is on level 6. And calf-wise, still the same Fire Calf, rank 5 with replenishment. And a Naginata Warrior Monk Calf Vanilla. Is it really only 2 calf units? Maybe I missed something in the banners, but I think I only saw 2. Yeah, only 2 in the center. And on the right he has 1 more light calf. Matchlock Warrior Monk, actually. So it's 4 matchlocks in total. A Yarisam, a Vanilla, which he plays a lot, and a Nagi Tenant as well. Interesting that he decides to ignore the sword dojo, at least positioning wise. He could just put 1 Nagi Tenant here and go straight for it. But we'll see what his plan is. General is unchanged, so still leadership with bow enabled. But yeah, this is quite common. Usually players just go all in on this island. Most of the times you have better dojos on this island, where it's even more important to get a good footing there. But even with like these 2, I would say, dojos of medium importance, it's probably still a good idea to go there. You don't want to go all in on the sword dojo and then give this island to your opponent, where you can basically have endless ammunition with your bows through this archery dojo. But still, I think this could be interesting. So it looks like Spice Merchant is taking his time in the deployment phase because Trebor appears to be ready. Interesting that he puts this long Yari on the left flank. This is quite risky because you don't want this very good unit to be exposed to the flanks. But you could still send some calf support. And now we're going into the match, and this is interesting. So Spice Merchant ignoring the 2 dojo island, going with 3 main blocks of infantry. The rest appears to be hidden. So on the left side, going for the sword dojo, he has a matchlock Sam, extended range, a Yariash, a Nodachi, and a Yarisam. In the center he has a Matchlock Warrior Monk extended range, a Yariash, a Nodachi, and a Yarisam. And now his right flank is hidden, but probably very similar in style. And I would assume that his calf is also hidden in here. But judging by how much money, again, he put into his matchlocks, I would assume it's not a lot of calf. And interestingly, Trebor aborts his original plan of going for this island, instead choosing to directly face up Spice Merchant, which I think is a wrong decision here, because he has a 200 range bow. He can afford to go on this island and camp it. I mean, maybe he does so because he is the attacker, and Spice Merchant could just fall back and avoid the bows. But other than him being the attacker, I see no reason to put everything on the right now. He's still getting both dojos, but now he is running into Spice Merchant's prepared setup, who also has the sword dojo on his side, which is a huge advantage. Plus 2 melee attack and plus 5 charge bonus, I think. Now we see the right flank of Spice. Well, actually the hard right, I think there's still the center right hidden here. Portuguese Terco rank 5, super expensive, and here also Matchlock Sam rank 5. So I don't think there's any calf. Maybe he has 1 or 2 light calf, but this is a super expensive infantry core. And also very vulnerable to these bows. I mean, if he has no calf, then these bows can just run riot. But in order for them to be efficient, Trebor has to make sure to not take too much early damage here from these matchlocks. No line of sight here for Spice. And there's also a light calf very much nearby, so whenever this unit gets too close to the edge, Trebor can just go in with his light calf. But this is a very interesting game positionally. It's fun to watch because you rarely see this type of standoff on this part of the map. And looks like Spice Merchant's right flank is going to go for the dojos and to try to reclaim them. But again, this is such an expensive right flank, facing off against only a long Yari. If the center engagement starts, this will be a huge part missing in Spice Merchant's army. But at the same time, he will want to use this die queue, so he doesn't have the biggest of incentives to start going all in. He's targeting the general and stand and fight from Spice, who can no longer go on horseback, doing lots of damage here. And now this die queue could spell a real big trouble for Spice. His matchlock, aside from this one matchlock Sam, none of his matchlocks are in proper position. And these die queues are, I mean, they've been firing for 20-30 seconds already and 75 kills. That's huge. And Nodachi charging frontally into Long Yari. This is suicide. This Nodachi will die. This is terrible micro from Spice, unfortunately. And these Yarisams are going to die to the Lone Swords. So this flank, I think, is going to die. Yeah, now this flank is going to just evaporate. No support. And with back charges from Calf, even the spears, I think, are going to suffer. Let's see, the Daikyus are doing weird stuff. I think they have an attack order on the general, which is actually, it hasn't died, but last man standing and routing. I think this game is over, to be honest. Nodachi getting shot, doing nothing by Matchlock Warrior Monks. These Matchlock Warrior Monks still not in the game. The Tercos are doing good damage. That's one thing. But I think they might be out of range now as of this moment. And now we see no Duchy going in, getting charged by Light Calf. Yeah, this is just one bad decision after another. The left flank of Spice struggling with morale. 116-man Yarisam was just wavering for a short bit. And these lone swords are going to do a good amount of damage to the Yarisam's rank 7. Very interesting matchup. They probably got the charge after the Yarisam went in. And now the Calf in the back of Spice Merchant, full strength Fire Calf, and a Naginata Warrior Calf. I mean, it looks like Spice didn't have a single Calf, not even Light Calf in his build. Again, I don't know why he does this. That's just not how you play this game at this level. Workshop still in possession of Trebor. And for the moment, the Sword Dojo being still in control of Spice Merchant. Still no proper line of sight, only the right flank of the Matchlock Ash is actually able to shoot here. And yeah, I think this is going to be a wrap. Trebor is going to have almost his full army left over. Yeah, I mean, this is quite impressive. I mean, he even had a Sword Dojo in his hands the entire time and couldn't make proper use of it. Because his army selection just wasn't suitable for the map. And again, a huge blunder positioning-wise, just as he did on Crossroads, sending an entire infantry department on a solo mission, eventually getting surrounded. They're low on morale because it's basically an Ashigaru core, and then they're getting routed, while not really helping the main force. So this was a very simple game from Trebor's perspective. I think this was just Spice Merchant beating himself with a series of bad decisions. The IQ is 267. Once they started firing, I don't think they ever stopped. Fire Calf always performing well, very good unit. And these long Yari Ash frontally charged by no Dachi. Again, those are such preventable mistakes. And well-performing Portuguese Tercos, but alone they can't do much, given the circumstances. The general just got sniped in stand and fight. Again, he just went to stand and fight in the open against the Daikyu. The general won't survive that for long. I think it was on the field for like a minute 30 or something once he got into stand and fight, and then he got routed. So either way, this means that Trebor wins the series 2-0 and moves on to the lower bracket semi-final, and Spice Merchant is out of the tournament. So congrats to Trebor, and I'll see you in the future games of the Summer Cup 2024. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.